Being financially free is the ultimate goal. Not just because you can wave goodbye to a life of servitude if you wish, but also because you can pay little to zero tax on your investments. Without the hindrance of tax holding you back, you can build up your investment pot much faster. And the income it produces will remain yours, so you need a far lower income to achieve the standard of living that you expect compared with what you would need as an employee.
In order to pay zero taxes on your investments, you do need to be savvy. Without following a tax strategy like the ones in this video, you could be potentially stung by, quite frankly, disgusting levels of tax. But the beauty is that with a little knowledge, you can legally reduce these investment taxes and in many cases eliminate them entirely. Awesome. These strategies are all dead easy to understand. No rocket science degree required.
In this video, we're going to share with you some of the best strategies that you can use to legally dodge tax as a UK investor. We'll start with some of the obvious techniques that all investors should be using and work towards more specialist strategies that you'll need as your investments grow. This video gets quite technical, but it's essential watching for those on the financial freedom journey. Watch this video for 10 minutes and it will save you thousands upon thousands of pounds over your lifetime.
We should point out that we're not financial advisors and you should follow these strategies at your own risk. We use these techniques ourselves and will continue to do so on our own path to financial freedom. Let's check it out.
Welcome to Unshackled.com, the investment and finance channel and website that sets you and your finances free.
That was Andy and I'm Ben, and if you like what we say, hit the like button and click subscribe.
Avoiding investment tax is a problem for wealthy people. Make sure that you're one of them by investing from as young an age as possible. If you don't know how to invest or would rather get on with your life while a professional manages your wealth for a very low fee, then you might be interested in Nutmeg, a robo-investor who does everything for you.
Use the Money Unshackled exclusive link and you can invest for the first 6 months without platform fees and have someone else do all the work. You'll find the link to the Money Unshackled offers page in the video description below.
Number 1. Stocks and shares ISA. If you're only investing small sums, then a stocks and shares ISA isn't completely necessary, but if you do have or intend to have a large investment pot, the size required for financial independence, then a stocks and shares ISA is essential for eliminating the majority of investment taxes and rescuing you from tedious tax filings.
With your money in an ISA, you will never have to pay capital gains tax, dividend tax, or tax on interest. And there are zero withdrawal restrictions. No need to wait until you're on death's door to access your money.
We each get a £20,000 annual allowance, which is shared across all ISA types. Make sure you use as much as you can, as you can't carry an unused allowance forward. Anything you earn within the ISA doesn't count towards your annual allowance. It's literally a £20,000 deposit allowance. Awesome.
Moreover, you can withdraw from an ISA and it doesn't count towards your annual income, so there's no further tax on it. This is a key reason why living off your ISA's earnings is superior to earnings from a job.
Jobs are not just soul destroying, but also, for some reason, punished by the taxman more than any other form of income. If you earn £30,000 per year from a job, you will only take home about £23,000 after income tax, national insurance tax, and student loan repayments.
Whatever you withdraw from an ISA is all yours to keep. Of course, you would need to build a large investment pot first, which is easier said than done.
Number 2, what to do after you've maximised your ISA allowance. At this point, you will need to use general investment accounts. Although this video is about eliminating tax, the real goal is to maximise after-tax returns. There's no point lowering your tax bill if it consequently lowers your earnings overall.
The question is, does it matter what investments are put in the ISA and which are put in a general investment account? The answer is yes, and it relates to the tax allowances that we receive and the rates that we pay. Unfortunately, the annual dividend tax allowance is tiny, currently at £2,000. And the dividend tax rate starts out quite friendly, but soon becomes state-sponsored theft.
Thankfully, the Robin taxman hasn't realised that the capital gains allowance is still awesome, and clever strategies can be used to pay nothing at all on some capital gains. Top tip, prioritise your ISA for dividends. You'll want to place your highest dividend paying investments into your ISA, as there's not much else you can do to avoid dividend tax. In the ISA, it will be tax free. You can shelter growth in other ways, so growth investments should be invested outside of the ISA wrapper.
Choosing between an accumulation and a distributing fund makes no difference. You technically receive a dividend whether the fund reinvests it or not. So no luck there. But if you are investing in a range of stocks, it would make sense to put the highest dividend earners in the ISA. The same can be said for high yielding dividend funds. For example, as the FTSE 100 is known for having a great dividend yield, you might want to place a FTSE 100 ETF in the ISA. But as the S&P 500 pays far lower yields, that could go in the general account. You need to choose carefully where you put your investments because you are limited by the annual ISA cap.
Number 3, bed and breakfast. A luxury holiday would be nice about now, but in this case, bed and breakfasting refers to the practice of selling an investment on the last day of the financial year and buying it back the next morning. The rules have changed slightly, but there are workarounds. You currently get a £12,300 capital gains allowance every year, but it's a use it or lose it allowance. Remember that you don't realise the gain until you sell, and that is when you become eligible for the tax. At this time, the taxman will be drooling over your stash in anticipation.
Say you buy a stock this year for £10,000 and sell it in 30 years' time, having earned 8% per year in growth. It would be worth just over £100,000, which is a gain of £90,000. Deduct the £12,300 allowance and you owe tax on £77,700. At 20% tax, you would end up paying £15,500 in tax. Correction, you would end up paying £15,500 in tax unnecessarily.
To avoid this punitive tax is a piece of cake, if you know how. All you have to do is sell shares each year so that you realise up to £12,300 of gains every year. You cannot immediately repurchase the shares as the taxman considers this to be continual ownership. The loophole allows you to repurchase after 30 days or immediately if you bought back in an ISA.
If you're investing in funds, you can buy an alternative but very similar fund immediately. For example, sell a Vanguard FTSE 100 ETF and immediately buy an iShares FTSE 100 ETF. This way you are not even out of the market for a single day. Sweet.
Number 4, offset any losses against gains. Should you ever sell at a loss? Of course, and a good time is when you want to offset a loss against a gain. Lower the amount that is subject to tax. Don't let the taxman get hold of your hard-earned money too easily. You can even carry forward unused losses to be offset against future gains, as long as you register them with HMRC. Top tip, stay in the market. Don't forget, if you still believe in the investment that you sold at a loss, you can always buy back using the bed and breakfast technique.
Number 5, transfer to your spouse. You can actually transfer to your spouse without triggering any capital gains. This is obviously useful if you want to take advantage of their tax allowances or if they pay a lower rate of tax than you do.
As a couple, you get 2 ISA allowances totaling £40,000, 2 capital gains allowances totaling £24,600 and 2 dividend allowances totaling £4,000. There's no need to be paying tax on your investments until you are obscenely wealthy, and even then you can still keep the tax rate low. Those wary about putting investments into your spouse's name should consider that in a divorce situation, they'll probably get half your stuff anyway.
Manage your taxable income. If you're going to crystallise a capital gain, it might make sense to reduce your taxable earnings by making a pension contribution. If you can do this to the point where you fall into a lower tax bracket, you can lower the tax rate that you have to pay on at least part of the capital gain. This could save you thousands of pounds. For investments like shares, the basic tax rate is 10% and 20% at the higher rate. The downside to using a pension is that it is locked away until old age, but it's certainly a strategy worth considering. Would you rather give money to your future self or to HMRC?
Don't pay twice. A little known fact is that capital gains are wiped out on death. If you care what you leave to your family, then it's probably not a good idea to realise a gain by selling when you are old. Of course, if you would rather bite the bullet and live the life that you want, then go ahead. Just know that the taxman will punish you for it.
Whatever assets you hold at your death will go towards your inheritance tax bill, so you could end up paying 2 huge tax bills unnecessarily. Top tip, borrow instead. If you needed the money urgently, you could borrow it instead and continue to do the other tax avoidance strategies to gradually realise the gains in a tax-free manner. And then you can pay off the debt.
Question of the day, what are you guys doing to build your wealth, and have you given tax strategies much thought? Let us know in the comments section. Thanks for watching! On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing and all things money. And if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.